Hey, what is up, nerds, geeks, and collectors alike? Today we are taking a look at the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin Green Ranger. In order to commemorate the 35th anniversary of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And who better to review than Tommy Oliver himself? But of course, it is also a way to honor the legend himself, Jason David Frank. Now to the review, here we have the packaging. At the bottom we have Power Rangers Lightning Collection, Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, as well as an artwork of the Green Ranger himself. At the side here we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, as well as the continuation of the art from the front. At the back here we have our obligatory product shot, but weirdly enough, no bio. And then at the other side, here it is, we have the same artwork, but this time it is the side of the box. Now for the top, just the color green, and for the bottom, the legal mumbo jumbo as well as the UPC, the typical. So yeah, that's about it for the packaging. And here we have Tommy Oliver, also known as the Green Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. Now, taking an in depth look at the figure itself, I can say without a doubt that this figure is a perfect figure form representation of the 1993 Mighty Morphin Green Ranger. As you can see here, the details are superb, and I did try to get the figure with the best sculpt and paint applications. Taking a look at the helmet, it is really faithful to its source material as well as being sculpted and painted nicely. And of course, you can't ignore the armor. It looks pretty cool. I like the shade of gold. And the entire body is cast in this green plastic, painted with white as well as gold in order for those details to pop. Well, I think the boots are made of white plastic painted with the green, but everything that is gold on this figure is painted except for the armor, because the armor is a separate piece. Now, there isn't a lot of sculpting and painting since this guy is based again from the 1993 show, but I think Hasbro executed this figure very nicely. While the armor does wobble around, it's not a major deal breaker. It's not really that much of a nuisance anyway. And of course, we can't ignore the morpher with the power cord. And of course, he does have the holster for the dragon dagger. Again, the boots is casted on this white plastic with some painted gold and green. And moving on to its accessories, here we have the dragon dagger, and it is pretty cool. I like that the details pop despite being a small accessory. As you can see here, it does have that gold for the logo, some green, and I think it is cast on this black plastic with some added gold, green, and silver associated with some great detailing. And moving on to the next accessory, here we have the Sword of Darkness, and it is cast in this, I think, from the white plastic painted with the silver, black, and red. And I think this is the sword that Rita Repulsa used in order to influence Tommy Oliver. And here at the handle we have the red, and let me focus there. And yeah, I think it is also sculpted and painted nicely. I have no complaints with the accessory whatsoever. It looks pretty cool. For the next accessory, here we have some green lightning effects, and I think I can fit this with the Sword of Darkness better than the Dragon Dagger, based on the product shots from the packaging. For its next accessory, here we have an alternative head, which is the unmasked Tommy Oliver head. I like the fact that he does have his earring right there, and it does have that photoreal printing. Therefore, it is a very nice Jason David Frank head. For his final accessories, we have some alternative hands here. One fist and one for the flute, which is nice to have. And here we have the Green Ranger wielding the Dragon Dagger as well as the Sword of Darkness with the lightning effect. And here we have the unmasked Tommy Oliver head on the Mighty Morphin Green Power Ranger with the closed fist hand. And here we have the Dragon Dagger with the flute playing hand, which Tommy does in order to summon the mighty Dragon Zord. And of course, moving on to his range of host ability, here he can look at the side fairly well as on the other side, but it is restricted by his armor. He can look up that barely, but you can configure it better. Again, it is being restricted by his armor. He can look down just enough like that. Again, restricted by his armor. And then his hands is restricted by the armor, but what you want to do is you just bring them out that far in order to get that 360 range of motion. The armor primarily hinders the head, but you can negotiate with it. He has a bicep swivel, he has a double jointed elbow right there, and bringing it back, we have a wrist swivel right there, some in and out movement, and that goes the same for the other hand. He has a upper torso ratchet joint here, and he has a lower crunch right there. He can crunch that far in, and he can crunch that far out. As you can see, that's how far out he can go. Again, let me show you the in, how much he can crunch it in there. As you can see, it is a fair amount of articulation. There are just some joints that are tight. And moving on to the legs, he can kick that far up, and he can not move his feet back even if you do try to bring it out, because it is restricted by the plastic at the back. He can fairly do the splits. At least the holster doesn't hinder him. He has a upper thigh swivel as well as a double jointed knee. But of course, again, another tight joint. I recommend you either use a hair dryer or hot water. I did with this. Again, it's kind of tight. As you can see, here we have the double jointed knee. He has some up and fair amount of down. And then we have a pivot. Let me just focus my camera. See, he has a wonderful range of pivot. So yeah, you can put him in some great poses. And of course, I almost forgot, he does have a boot swivel right there, as you can see. Yeah, before I forget that, I tend to forget the boot swivel from time to time. So yeah, you can put him in a lot of dynamic poses. He has a fair amount of articulation. Yes, the head is hindered by the armor, but it's nothing you can't negotiate with, since it is made of soft plastic and you can configure it in the best way possible. And moving on to the size comparisons, here we have him standing a little above 6 inches. Well, since I don't have any other Power Ranger figures, let me just put McFarlane Rebirth Batman right there. As you can see, they do not scale at all. And here we have Marvel Legends 80th Anniversary Alex Ross Iron Man. And since I absolutely have no idea if this is an accurate scale, since Iron Man stands about 6.5 inches high, again, he stands a little above 6 inches, while Batman stands about 7 inches, excluding the horns. So I can't really say if it scales well with the other line, but here it is. So to summarize my thoughts with this figure, he has a fair amount of articulation. His painting and sculpting is very faithful to the source material, and my copy of the figure is fantastic. A great figure form representation of the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger. From what I've gathered, this guy is very difficult to find simply because he is the Green Power Ranger, which a lot of fans really love. And of course, it is also affected by the unfortunate passing of Jason David Frank, which is very sad. That's why I'm really looking forward to the 35th anniversary special as well as The Legend of the White Dragon. So that's about it. Till next time, see ya.